welcome back. Now, the papers have been full of horrific stories of dog attacks recently, with a Cork woman almost losing her hand just last week.
Olivia Donnelly almost lost her arm after being subjected to a vicious 2-hour mauling by one of the family's dogs. Olivia, you're very welcome to the show. We also have dog behaviourist Nancy Creedon.
Hi, Nancy.
Your dad sadly passed away, and you inherited this dog called Bran. So you were very, very familiar. What type of dog was it?
It was an Akita.
And so the dog was familiar with you. You never thought in your wildest dreams the dog would do something like this to you?
No, I wasn't expecting.
So basically, there's the Akita breed. I mean, they're very kind of cuddly looking, but the dog was your father's, and he had taken him 3 years ago from somebody that didn't want the dog. Is that right?
That's it.
And the dog, you also had a female dog, and she had puppies. So you went out to see the pups, and tell us what happened.
I went out, I was just walking across the yard to go checking the pups, and it was my right arm. I just felt a bite, and he pulled me down on the ground. I tried to get up, and he bit into my back of my kneecap and took me back down. It was when he went to my left arm, he pulled it open, and you could see it in his mouth, and I lay for about 20 minutes.
But you were walking across the yard. Could you see him, or did he come behind you?
He just came behind.
He came behind you. Can we just see, now this is a bit horrific to look at, to be honest, what things your arm, and it just shows you the horrendous injuries. This is from the dog continuously biting and taking flesh, bits of flesh out of your arm over a 2-hour period. So then he went for this arm. Tell us what happened then.
He went for this arm, and it wasn't like this one where he was biting it. He was ripping it out. So I lay down, I pretended I was dead, I lay dead, and he came, started just biting me, nipping me to see if I'd move. I have punch marks all over my body where he'd just bite just to see if I'd move. Then I went, it was about 20 minutes, I went to try and get up because I could feel that I hadn't got very much.
And you were bleeding as well, weren't you? There's blood flowing.
And you could see a piece of your flesh inside the dog's mouth and everything.
I could see my arm in his mouth.
My goodness.
He ripped every artery out and all my veins, everything.
And your leg then as well?
My leg, the back of my kneecap and all up here, he bit it had to be all pushed back in.
You can see a picture of it there.
Yeah.
Nancy, is this common with this type of dog?
No, I mean, from what I understand of the attack that happened, it sounds very predatory. So the fact that she didn't hear him coming, that he got her from behind, they're kind of stereotypical predatory behaviours.
Like a wild animal, really, Nancy.
Yeah, very much like a wild animal. So it's not that every dog is going to turn around and attack people straight away. But it's something that dogs can do. And the bigger the dog, obviously, the more injuries that can be caused. So it's something that when things like this happen, for me, it needs to not be in vain. You know, we need to learn from these experiences. We need to get something from it. And ideally, we need to change the legislation, because you weren't protected by the legislation. The bite that happened in Cork last week wasn't protected by legislation. And things need to change. Things need to be done.
So basically, the dog was put down, I'd imagine, or put to sleep, as they say. So we actually didn't learn anything at all.
No.
What was wrong with this dog? We didn't know anything.
We haven't learned anything. And the only thing out of this incident that we have now learned, which I find really, really interesting, is that Olivia was telling me the only way she got the attack to stop was that she eyeballed the dog and spoke to him in a way that she would normally speak to him.
What did you say? So this is now 2 hours later, and he was coming back and forth. You were laying there as if you were dead to stop him, and every time you moved, he attacked you again.
Yeah. I felt I had no more fight left to me. And I just lifted my head, looked him in the eyes, and I says, "Brian, I've had enough." And he seemed to let me just crawl myself back into the back door, and that's where I passed out.
After that, then you must have, somebody called an ambulance, obviously.
Yeah, the ambulance was called, but I passed out when I got in the door, so I don't remember anything until I woke up in Beaumont.
Was it the last throw that dies for you in your own head? That if he doesn't stop this, I'm going to die here?
I felt my heart was slowing down. I could feel.
Because you lost so much blood on the way, you had to stop and draw it, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to get blood transfusion.
Your arm looks dreadful. It means that obviously there are a lot of operations to come, and probably skin grafts and all that.
Yeah, I've got a lot to go. This part's not taken, so I'll probably have to get more skin graft on here. Yeah. Then when the skin graft takes, I'll have to get my arm broken and reshaped, because it's not shaped.
Yeah. Nancy, these type of dogs as well, Olivia, she was saying earlier on that they're loyal to one person. and it was probably maybe her dad or the person who had the dog before.
When it comes to behaviour, so individual breeds, the breed only makes up around 1% of the DNA. So breeds very much quickly get characteristics, and a lot of the time they can kind of be like urban legends, or people put these characteristics on the breeds. I would never assess this incident and consider breed to be a factor of the bite.
Because a lot of people, and I know people who own Akitas, and they're very loyal and gentle dogs to their owners too. So you can't condemn a whole breed because of one incident.
Yeah.
But your father did pass away 10 days before. Were you friendly with Bran, with this dog?
No, he would have been a guard dog, but I would have been in and around the yard. He would have, because I was looking after the pups. I was there for the birth of them and all. It was the female that put him out.
Oh, she didn't want him?
She didn't want him.
He was quite cross then as a dog, was he?
She probably wouldn't have him around.
Yeah.
And would he have seen you then with the female dog being kind of friendly with the dog? And Nancy, would the male dog have
be
said,
jealous,
okay?
I wonder.
See, and that's what, when I first read the articles, I assumed the dog was guarding the pups, and that a threat came into the yard, and he wanted to protect the pups. But from the behaviour that has been explained to me, if you're guarding, you're going to get in between the threat and what you're defending. You're going to growl, you're going to vocalise, you're going to tell the threat, go away. Whereas he snuck up behind her, he wasn't a peep at her, is very predatory, which is really frightening.
You must be scared of dogs now.
I've got a fear, but I've got my own dog that's helping me now. But I'm not as cuddly with him. He notices a change in me, but hopefully it will stop.
Because you sound like you love animals. Because you hand-reared, you weren't going around nervous of dogs. Like you took those pups, you hand-reared your own dog, you were saying earlier on to us when we were chatting. So you're an animal lover.
I do. I love dogs. I love cats. It's just getting back over this fear, because I know now what can happen.
And as we said before, Nancy there, and a thing that you think is very, very important. I know everyone says, oh, that dog should be put to sleep because of what he did to Olivia, but as you say, we learn nothing at all. That dog could have had a tumour in his head or something like that. Could have
Exactly.
could have
so there's
upset something.
so much that we need to do before we put the dogs to sleep. I am not saying that we don't put this dog to sleep.
You have to.
We put this dog to sleep, but before we put it to sleep, we get it medically assessed. We assess its temperament, assess its reaction to stimulus. We then interview the victim, interview the dog owner, take the history, so we can learn and we can use that information to prevent the same thing happening. Because I don't want what's happened to Olivia and the fear that you now have to be in vain. I want to use this as an opportunity to save somebody else's life.
Olivia, have you considered therapy, or have you had therapy for your mental state?
I will be getting it. I'm due to get it now, February, because I have nightmares.
Of course you do, and you have 3 children, small children too, and you have to take care of those. Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I think you need everything, because it's a huge thing to happen to anyone. And it's not something that we want to condemn animals for this, but we need to understand why these things happen.
The reality of it, exactly.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much, Olivia. Thank you.
Thank you for telling us.
It couldn't have been easy to come in.
No, absolutely
to
not.
that again.
Thank you.